Are you struggling with knowing if your business needs to file a tax return? In this blog, we discuss the top ways to prepare your business tax return.
Yeah, that sounds kind of funny, but how to tax prep and the way we're going to take this this discussion is discussing the options of getting your tax return prepared. As a business owner, you have options out there, and we just kind of want to highlight some of those options for you.
Yeah, the first option is do it yourself. That's there's lots of software out there that you can purchase to do it yourself. It's been a long time since I've seen anyone actually prepare it by hand, but
I don't even know, are they taking them anymore at the IRS?
they are. Yeah, they still are, but yeah, it's the tax prep software out there. A lot of it is kind of try to the do-it-yourself ones try to kind of guide you with questions. So
Yeah.
and that's an option for you. It's not one that I would recommend, but it's an option.
I think there's a place for them. There's a purpose and a place for having do-it-yourself tax software. I don't want to knock them too much, but when there is a business involved, I think it becomes a little bit more challenging as to the proper treatment of some things and things to consider that may be outside of the realm of questions that the tax software is providing to you. It is preparing the return. It is not your advisor.
Right, exactly. And as you said, if you're just an individual that has a W-2, doesn't have really anything else going on, a do-it-yourself software can work just fine. But businesses are complicated and business taxes are complicated. Mm-hmm. So doing it yourself could lead to some issues.
Yes, of course. I did have a client that had done their return themselves and was not aware of how to treat sales tax properly, ended up getting a double dip on a deduction that they shouldn't have had. And it was upon audit that was determined to be incorrect. They have since moved on to a tax preparer. They have not, been doing it themselves since then. So they, learned by their mistake, but it definitely is an area that has a lot more issues involved
right.
when you have a business.
Yeah, and the same thing can be held true for some, not just income taxes, but payroll taxes, doing your own sales tax, a lot of these other tax filings that you as a business might have to do. We see it all the time where people try to do it themselves, and they do things that they're missing due dates, they're missing payments, and penalties rack up, and it costs them way more to get it fixed or to pay the penalties and interest than it would have to hire a professional to do it for them. So yes. And that's an ongoing potential problem because these things are due quarterly or monthly or yearly. So you're compounding it, not just those one-time issues. So so do it yourself is number one. Number two is hiring a tax preparer, not necessarily a CPA, but just a tax preparer that prepares tax returns for you. There's companies out there that will do that for you. They're not, like I said, they're not CPAs, but they may have some other credential.
I always think though that so there's CPAs that do taxes as well as CPAs that don't do taxes, but the EAs, they're enrolled agents. I always put them in the same category as a CPA. I don't really lump them in as just a tax preparer, because that certification is very, very difficult to get. It is one of the more challenging certifications to receive. And so I always say that CPAs and EAs are kind of like the next level, and that your tax preparer is somebody who doesn't necessarily have those credentials.
Yeah, that I would agree with that. The non-credentialed tax preparers, there are some out there. Um, you know, those are just about, you're just slightly above you doing it yourself.
Yeah,
I would
they might
say.
know a little bit more, but yes.
Yeah, and it's not something, again, I would recommend, because they're not, they don't have the training, they don't have the expertise to be able to advise you. I mean, they may be able to prepare a tax return, you know, pretty well, but all of these nuances and these complications, they're not going to understand or
Right.
know how to
Mhm.
do.
Right.
Um, so then we're talking about certified tax preparers, so CPAs, enrolled agents. Um, this level, and like you said, not all CPAs are tax preparers. We actually have clients that are CPAs that we do the
Yes.
taxes for,
Yeah.
because they have other
Specialties or
specialties or
yeah. Yeah.
that are not tax related. So um, these types of people have training. Anytime you go to hire somebody, do some research on them. S-
Mm-hmm.
or see if they have recommendations if you weren't already recommended to them. Um, see what they're about, what their expertise are. You can interview them, ask a lot of questions. Don't just take them on their face value. Find out how long they've been in practice, how many returns they do, what types of returns they do, what type of industries do they work with,
Mm-hmm.
and ask these questions about them. You know, f- the you want to hire somebody that is going to be able to provide excellent service and know what they're doing. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can take, you can ask them questions. We love it when clients ask, or prospective clients ask us about
Yeah.
our business and what our expertise are, and
Sure.
um, we welcome that.
Yeah. So, and when you say interview, you're looking also to understand how that person communicates, and is that the same way that you like to communicate, whether it's the way that they talk to you or the way that they like the tools that they use to communicate. Will they only call you, or do you prefer email? Like, are you on the same level of communication and kind of jive with each other in that way? Because that can make or break a professional relationship if you're not on the same page.
Right, exactly. And setting expectations as well. Not just the communication and the fit, but discuss the expectations with your CPA. When do they need to have the information to you, or when do you need to provide them the information to get the job done? What's their turnaround time look like? Um, you know, Look at all of those different avenues and aspects to understand how everything's going to get delivered, and what's the time frame look like.
Yeah. And one thing I always try and urge people to understand when they're going from either a DIY or the neighbor who's preparing their tax return, to a professional, is that relationship is very different. It does not maybe move as quickly. You're working with somebody else to get all of the necessary information, whereas your information, where things are, and it's just different when you're doing something on your own versus having someone else do it for you. So you have to allow time for that process to take place as well when you're dealing with any professional, whether that's a doctor or a lawyer. A lawyer is not going to produce your will the same day that you hand them the documents. So it's same thing with an accountant that is preparing your tax return, is CPA or an enrolled agent of some sort. They're dealing with more complicated tax returns for the most part, and things take longer to work through.
Yeah, exactly. And especially initially when you first engage with a CPA or enrolled agent, there's going to be a lot more questions. There's going to be a lot more
Mhm.
things that they kind of have to get to understand and get to know. And then as the relationship progresses year over year, those the list of questions can dwindle because they kind of have a lot of that background.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
your business could change over years as well. So, um, you know, when you hire a CPA or an enrolled agent, the best thing to do is communicate as much as possible, as early as possible, um, with any kind of transaction or anything that's happening down the
Yep.
line. You
Yep.
want you want their input before you do something rather than after.
Yes. It's always a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. And again, if you like our content, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel and check us out at moderncpaonline.com. We have a masterclass and a workshop that is going on right now. And so you can check all that out on our website. Thanks so much, guys. Take care.
Have a good one. Thank you.